Greetings! Greetings, folks. Welcome to Channel Other Doc. I am Jim. I use he, him pronouns, and today we are playing Dialect. This is a GM-less story game about language and how it dies. We're going to be taking on roles in an isolated community and exploring how their language changes as the factors around them change. We're going to go around and introduce everybody that we currently have with us. We had another player who has unfortunately not been able to make it, but we're good. We can still play with this number. I'm going to ask folks to say who you are and if you have a favorite word. Let us start with Brittany. Hello.
Hi, I'm Brittany at Casual Halfling on Twitter. My favorite word is probably Brobdingnagian.
Oh, that's a good one.
What now?
Brobdingnagian, please don't ask me to spell it. I think it means of huge proportion.
Yes, excellent. We all enjoy a good bit of Jonathan Swift. Now let us move on to Alexis. Hello.
Hello, I'm Alexis. I use she or they pronouns, and on the spot, I think I picked the word azure.
Ooh, that's really good.
It just sounds very pretty.
I like that. I think now, last week I said that my favorite word is schadenfreude. That has become only more ironic this week as I've been scrambling to get things together today. Everything's gone wrong today. That's the kind of day it is.
You should be careful picking your word then.
I know, right? That's how it goes. That's past me unconsciously saying to future me, "I'll show you." That's I think how that works. Before we dive in to everything we have going on here, I think a bot just called me. That's good. Like we do with most games on this channel, we're going to be using the X card, the N card, and the O card. If we hit something that's crossing a line for one of the players, any of them can type an X in the Zoom video chat or anywhere else, or make an X symbol, and we'll back up and do something else. Now, if something happens that you're okay having in the game, but you don't want a graphic description of it, type an N in the Zoom chat and we'll fade to black on it or put it behind a veil. So it'll be there, but we won't go into detail. Finally, if you're in the midst of intense role-playing and you think you might be worried, we might be worried you're really upset out of character, you can put an O in the chat and let us know that you're okay, and let us know you're okay and that we're going to keep piling on the drama. Something else we can do is put an O with a question mark after it when we say or do something and then think maybe it might be a little too much. Then everyone else can respond to that and let us know if we're still doing okay. So at the moment, I am in the process of getting everything visible here. So I'm just making a quick adjustment so that folks can see roll 20 instead of this massive void that is currently sitting on the screen. Let's see if OBS is finally going to be willing to work with me on that. So I should go to where it says roll 20. I should open it and let me see if it's picking it up. Pull it and replace it with another one. As I can. Alright. Window capture. And find the correct profile. It's often a question when doing these things of elimination, as it were. Sometimes you have to just eliminate the number of windows that you are looking at, and that will sometimes do the thing. Let me just briefly. Yeah, it looks as though. Let me see. Just check to see. It looks as though our other player might or might not. Let me just double check. see if they're... Just double check that. This is the game of double checking. That's essentially, I think, how this game works this week. Alright, so... Once again, we go to our... Showing you Twitter, now showing you Dialect. Okay. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna cheat and use the GM window. Always have a backup for everything. Absolutely everything. What I find also amusing quite suddenly. There we go. Okay. Alright, we can actually perhaps play this now. We'll see kind of what we got going on here. Sorry, things in chaos. Things in chaos. So we picked the backdrop, wolf pack, for this, and that just basically will show us things we're going to be generating aspects out of this and what have you. That's slightly more visible to folks. But the flow of play goes thusly. So pick a backdrop, that part's done. Then we are going to generate aspects. So as a group, we answer the 2 aspect generation questions, and then we choose our final free aspect. And so on the sheet, okay, we may be getting, we may be, once again, we may have our friend dive in just a second. But in the meantime, we're still gonna get this started. So the first question that we have is under Apex Predators. We're at the top of the food chain. What habit or tradition do we practice around the hunt? Let me actually also read the description here, just before that. We've been a pack for as long as we can remember. The 7 of us sleep together in our den. We explore, hunt, and play together in our forest. There are humans in houses beyond the edge of the woods. Sometimes we can smell the meat they cook and see the smoke billowing in the air. At night we hear howls from near those houses. They sound trapped, quieted, controlled. We are not trapped. We roam where we want. We eat what we want. We take our pack's hierarchy seriously. If one of us fails to complete our duties, the others suffer. This trust and loyalty keep us safe, and our safety guarantees our freedom. This is our forest. This is our wolf pack. We will protect both no matter the cost. This is going to be very tragic, I can tell already. So, first question, Apex Predators. We're at the top of the food chain. What habit or tradition do we practice around the hunt? What do we think? Our kind of first aspect here. Also gonna actually bring up the play area because that'll probably help as well. Does anyone have any thoughts about that? A particular habit or tradition that is practiced around hunting?
I'm pulling a blank.
I'm trying to turn off biology brain right now and think a little bit more artistically.
Yeah.
No problem. Let's see. So yeah, it's an interesting thing because this is going to be a little weird because we're going to be trying to figure out kind of how how wolves communicate, and the assumption is that they are using a communication to incorporate in the wolves show dominance through eye contact, bared teeth, raised hair, ears, and tails. And this is for fearful wolves. Crouch low with ears and eyes down, hair smooth and tail tucked. Playful wolves' ear move as they hop, skip, and push their noses in other wolves' faces. Howling is used to assemble. Startled wolves bark warnings or threats, then howl for backup.
Yeah, but is the assumption that these wolves can talk or not?
I don't think they can. I'm not just from the also from the description. Let me look at the description, the short description we gave. They protect their pack in the forest. Hunters inside the wolves use their bodies as well as their voices to communicate. No, this is no. These are wolves. So I think the question is, what? But we can assume that they can turn what they can do, the various types of howling or the various types of body language, into communication, into a language. And that's really what we're looking at here. So is there something... I mean, if it makes it easier for us, we can just say that they talk, and then that'll... and we can have the Watership Down experience if we desperately want it. I'll leave that up to you.
I would say probably selecting the hunters for that hunt.
Yeah, okay.
Cool. So there's like a lead hunt. Something interesting about wolves also, though, that I did find out within the last couple of years is apparently the whole thing about them having pack alphas is not necessarily true. It's just everybody kind of looks at the I think it's, what is it, the elders look out for the younger ones?
Yeah, the whole alpha, beta, omega thing for wolves and dogs is made up.
Yeah.
Sadly, bit debunked. I mean, not sadly. It was sadly a bad science call. It was debunked recently by some new studies.
Yeah. So yeah, that definitely.
I think hierarchies are much more dynamic than we assumed.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So they pick out a hunter, or so someone to like lead the hunt. You think?
Assign roles, I guess, like scouter, hunter.
Oh,
you
cool.
do this, you do this.
Yes. Awesome.
Who goes and who stays? Yeah, sure.
Cool. I like that. So then the next one is wild and free. How do we differ from the domesticated wolves humans call dogs?
We don't listen to humans.
There's that.
Humans don't feed us.
Let's see. Oh, we have got. Yes, we've got our other player coming in.
Sorry about that.
No problem. Let me go ahead and just set this up real quick so that folks can see you. And so I will quickly grab that overlay and get you into it. Alright, let me do this real quick. Yay! And there we go, you're now visible. Or it should be. Let's see. And I'm going to tinker with the visuals here as well while we're doing this. But how are you? So, feel free to introduce yourself and tell us one of your favorite words.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, so I'm Rock. As far as a favorite word goes, I don't know that I actually have a favorite word. There's so many good ones. Yeah, I mean, I can't really pick one.
Oh, no, that's fine. Are there any that you like? in particular, or that you find yourself using a lot, or any that you don't hate.
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean,
All
like
words are to be hated. Understood.
Is there
I
a
mean-
word that you hate a lot? Like I know a lot of people have a problem with moist.
see, I don't understand that one. Why does everybody have a problem with the word moist?
I have a problem with any plural word or any word that ends in st that is made plural because your mouth does a weird thing when you say it, like feasts, and that bothers my ears.
Oh, okay.
I don't understand why.
Yeah. Is it
Oh,
like
yeah.
the sandpaper thing?
Yeah.
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 I gotcha.
Yeah, I don't get that one. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying about like any word that ends with st that isn't necessarily, as far as like a singular or plural thing goes. So,
It's got a weird mouth feel.
yeah.
So I have another question for you, Rock. Just as we're to throw you headfirst into what we're doing right now. We are all wolves. How do we differ from the domesticated wolves humans call dogs? 'Cause we've been trying to figure that out. Something specific. Something ritualistic about this culture that will be expressed during play.
I would say mindset. Looking at the background that was given on it, kind of makes it sound like, so we are protectors of the forest almost is kind of the impression that I got is
Cool.
So if you think at it from that perspective, I would think that dogs, while capable of being aggressive and certainly possessing a certain degree of ferocity when it comes to elements of danger, generally are going to be, maybe a little more submissive, a little more kind of go with the flow and see how things are going to be. Whereas forest wolves aren't necessarily going to be that way. They're going to be a little more, the best way to say this, they're going to display a little bit more of a sense of initiative. Instead of just kind of like waiting to see what happens, they're going to take action.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like so. Yeah, sort of initiative, sort of kind of like they are wardens or protectors of the area, and so they're going to. It's more of an act first, ask questions later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to borrow a quote unquote proverb from a completely different show, a science fiction show that's rather well known, act and you will have dinner. Think and you will be dinner.
Ah, understood. That works. Just so you know, the way that we answered the previous question about apex predators is that they have a sort of a hierarchy. They pick out someone to be a hunter, a scout, etc. when they go on hunting. So they sort of have assigned rules. Which was something we found interesting because otherwise they don't have them as formally because as we said earlier, the alpha wolf thing actually does not exist. Strangely enough, we discovered, but at least not for wolves anyway. I believe there's a certain type of ape that has it, but that's anyway. That's getting off topic again. So we've kind of answered that, and then we have a free aspect, a third aspect that we can say to help sort of define this culture a little bit, that we can essentially just make up some interesting thing about these wolves. Do we have any ideas?
These wolves sing.
Okay, no, we can do that. We can do that.
I know I'm setting myself up, but
I understand.
You're on. Everything has to rhyme.
Actually, wait. So there's an interesting idea on that. So, like, when you're talking about the wolves sing, do you mean they howl occasionally for entertainment and pleasure, like how humans do, as far as using their voices, their own natural, so not like sing, but they actually, like, their howling may be done in a sort of choral form? Or do you mean that like they sing?
well, we haven't pinned down yet if these wolves can speak. So, depends on that, I suppose.
I will admit, I have a slight bias in that I am interested in the challenge of trying to establish a language for creatures that don't speak. But that's just me. I'd lean toward the sort of the choral howling type deal. But if folks feel differently, we can go differently. So what do you think?
I kind of like the aspect of not speaking, and combining music with a sort of non-verbal communication.
I think that could be really cool.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Disney Files. Anyway, we're not doing that today. Anyway. I'm not bitter. Anyway, let's see. So now we generate characters. To begin, deal 3 archetype cards to each player. Each player then should pick one. Okay. I'm going to deal cards to you now.
I've never seen cards in Roll20. I'm excited.
I've already got all 15 cards in this deck. I assume it's only 15 cards. I'm going to shuffle them, and then I shall deal them out. I shall deal 3 cards to each player. I will admit I also have the ulterior motive of thinking that this game might go faster without dialogue. But anyway, that's just my thought. Okay, so you've got, you should in your hands be able to now access the cards, and you see which ones you have. And you get to pick out which one you want. And which aspects. And this, at the same time, you can kind of introduce your character, as it were. This, the character's name, role, relationship to the aspects as prompted on the archetype card. If you want, I will go first by way of demonstration, but anyone can really go if they have thoughts ready, if they are ready. I haven't looked at my card yet, so I'm just going to possibly pick one at random as soon as I look up at it. But does anyone have one they want to play?
Okay. From my cards, I'm gonna pick Oracle.
Okay. Now, one thing you can do is actually, so folks can see it, is you can grab hold of that card and drag it out onto the desktop here, on top of the game area, and folks will be able to see it.
Like that?
Well, I do not currently. Can everyone else see it? I cannot right now.
It's behind our icons on my screen.
Yeah, I don't see the map on mine.
I see a game about language. Maybe you have to move the players.
You know what? I just realized what's happening. So yeah, go ahead and right-click on that card and pick it back up if you would.
I have.
So if you right-click on the card, I just realized what's happening.
Yeah, I got the card back.
Okay. I'm going to now switch over to this, so everyone can see. There, that's the play area. Go ahead and, one more time. Oracle, there we go. Excellent. All right. So, yeah, go ahead then and go ahead and read out the text on the card and talk about which aspects you're going to identify with.
So Oracle means I know what's coming for us, and everyone believes in me, at least most of them do.
Mm-hmm.
And people talk to me about predictions.
Excellent.
This means that I identify with the apex predator aspect, since everyone keeps asking me about the hunt. And I identify with the singing.
Excellent. Let me actually write the names of the aspects on these cards here. So we have apex, predator. We can transform the names of these aspects if we want, but it means that we have hunt rules. Let's see. And we have this aspect. Second aspect, which is wild and free. How do we differ again? Wild and free aspect. And the third aspect is song. Excellent. And so you identify with two of the aspects, and you think one of the aspects will be our ruin. So apex predator then is one of the ones you identify with. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And what about the other two?
And this and identify with the free aspect, the singing.
That's right.
Uh,
And so wild and free will be our ruin.
yeah.
Excellent, interesting. And I'll also sort of parenthetical in here that we take initiative, as it were. That's kind of how we defined it. All right. So that's for that one. Now, have you got an idea what you want your wolf's name to be?
I picked Anaya.
Anaya, okay. Go ahead and enter that in on the overlay here. And we'll have that. Anaya, N-A-A-Y-A?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. I got it right. And while we're doing that, does anyone want to go next?
I'll go.
Awesome. Go ahead and pull your card out and talk about it.
All right. So, didn't mean to put that right on top. So I have gone with the aspect of the zealot. There is a right. Hold on. There is a right way for the isolation to live. You know what that is. You will convince the others. People talk to you about your followers. And sort of contrast to the Oracle, I identify with the wild and free aspect, and I take it too far.
Nice. Very good.
My in keeping with the musical, the singing theme, my wolf is named Forte.
Nice.
That's great. All right, let's see here. Excellent. What are Anaya's pronouns?
She, her.
Here. Okay. Excellent. So we got one there, and then we have Forte. And Rock, have you determined what which card you want to use?
Yeah. I'm gonna go with kind of stereotypical for me. I'm going to go with the Jester. We need you to help us through the dark times. People talk to you when they need cheering up. So, and as far as the two aspects are concerned, says that I think one of the aspects is ridiculous. So, I'm gonna say that we said as we communicate with song, we go based off of initiative. What was the other one? Wild and free.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have the hunter rules in Apex Predator. We have the taking initiative under Wild and Free, and then we have the singing.
Right. I'm gonna go with I think that the singing is ridiculous, but not necessarily like. I'm looking at it from the aspect of it's ridiculous. It's a means of projecting humor into things, not that it's necessarily stupid.
Okay, yeah, so it's more humor. There's a yeah, how you look at it. And let me also just briefly ask, Brittany, what are the pronouns for Forte?
She, her.
Okay, excellent. And Rock, do you have a name for your wolf?
A name for my wolf?
Yeah.
Yeah, Harmony.
Harmony. Oh, wow. Excellent. And what are Harmony's pronouns?
He, him.
Excellent. Excellent. And I've let me get that on there. Okay. Now, then looking at what I've got in my hand, I think I'm gonna go with the Explorer. We rely on you to venture beyond where the rest of us do, push the boundaries and uncover new potential. People talk to you about the unknown. I identify with all of the aspects, and I know there's undiscovered potential in one. So I think that I feel like the undiscovered potential, it's either going to be the wild and free aspect or the song aspect. I think it's going to be the singing. I think it's going to be the song. There's something, I feel like there's something we can do with it to help us. And so that's sort of what I'm going to look at there. Now, what I will go ahead and do at this point is I'm going to make copies of these cards and shrink those copies down and keep so I can keep them on the board. And so after I do that, you can feel free to pick that card back up if you want to keep it in your hand and have it for reference. But give me just a second. So I've just duplicated the Oracle. So whoever had the Oracle can feel free to grab it. Alright. And we'll do that with the others here. Done with the Zealot. Jester. That small, you can go ahead and pick up the Jester. And we'll do so with the Explorer. Now, take a card. There we go. So yeah, Rock, you can feel free to, yeah, there you go. Alright. So now we've got our types. I should probably come up with a name for my wolf. Looking at the, let's see, they had names here. I'll go with Ulrich. That looks, that's cool. I'll go with Ulrich. Ulrich is he, him. And I will go ahead and get that up on our overlay. There we go. Okay, so we've got our wolf names up, and now, as we're going through here, so we're gonna get into the turns here. So we begin the game by dealing 3 Age 1 cards from the language deck to each player. and then we will start making connections to the aspects with them, and that's how this works. So, we make that, grab that deck here. Page 1. I can go ahead and hide the voices deck now. And we'll deal 3 cards to everybody. There you go. And what I'll go ahead and do you want now? Again, as we'll do turn order. I think what we'll do is we'll go kind of from my view here, for the screen view, sort of clockwise. If you like, I'll go first by way of demonstration, unless someone else wants to jump in and just try it. So how do we feel about that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start. So let me see, what do we have? I have the past, work for the past, I've got resource. Ordinarily, it's you don't have to demonstrate. I figure everyone will be able to see it who's watching at home, so I'm just announcing it anyway. Let's see. So this is a word for, okay, yeah. I think, I like the idea of going with the past. Here, let's either the past or resource. I think my character actually would have. I like the idea of going with the past, but that's more me speaking than my wolf, and so I think I'm going to go with resource because I have a feeling that's going to be much more imminent here, and I'm going to tie that. So that's a vital resource for the isolation. This is a word that means resource. Vital resource for the isolation. Without it, we would truly be lost. During the make a connection phase, explain what this resource is. I think I'm gonna connect this resource to the wild and free aspect. And I think it's going to be... I think there are... I don't know if wolves eat wild berries, but these do. Basically, there we have a plentiful supply of wild blackberries that we kind of... but the thing is, we have to get them. They're low enough generally where they grow, the bushes, for us to get. But we got to get them before the birds do. That's very important if we want to take hold of them. I think they're useful to us. It's not like the primary thing that we have. I mean, we have when we go out hunting, we're hunting usually for meat. But these are available to us as kind of a for I wanted to say actually various medical reasons, if nothing else, sort of to help us out, and just as like if we have nothing else, we can eat that, or at least chew on that, and that will be available. I think wolves are primarily carnivores, if I remember correctly. But this is like the if there's nothing else, there are blackberries. If that does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right,
That makes sense.
okay. So then we build a word for this concept, and we do this kind of collectively. We decide what the word is for this resource, and the fun part is figuring out how a wolf would express this, right?
So this is going to be, so we're not actually using words in a sense. This is going to be body language.
I think so, yeah.
And I know that someone said no a-wooing in the chat, so I don't want to disappoint the furries, but I feel like we should. So we're describing like body language, correct?
I know it says no a wooing is 100% fine. That's what I'm thinking. But anyway, it's a dollar sign. That's true, but I think it's percent. Anyway, yeah. So something like body language, or a way of vocalizing, or something else.
So we're just dropping the word creation rules.
I think for right now, yeah. And actually, that's only if you want to get advanced with it. There are certain cards that let you draw on the word creation rules, specifically. And that was usually the only time we dived that deeply into it last time. So it's one of those things where we can do that. That said, I mean, I guess we could come up with a word for the specific gesture or whatever it is that we're making, if we want to do that.
You played the game, not me. I don't know.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine. I'm just mentioning that because it's a story game. A lot of this is very interpretive, so we can lean in a few different directions for this. So I think what do we think for what would a wolf do to indicate blackberry bush?
I think it would be more of a touch and a direction, like a nip to a certain part of the shoulder, and then turning the head, north.
I'm thinking touching the underside of the paws with the nose, because they look like berries. The pads.
I like that.
Excellent. So pads to the shoulder, or maybe like pads up on the shoulder, if they can do that, and sort of.
If you want more than 5 words, we're gonna have to be creative. They can't be real wolves.
Oh no, that's fine.
Hey Jim, let me ask you a question about this one. I was kind of thinking about it for a second. The whole thing with the berries.
Yeah.
I know you were initially like saying that the berries, like it would be the kind of thing that we would eat when food was rare. But what if the real reason for us wanting to be able to identify the blackberries and eat them and stuff is if they were instrumental in our ability to take possession of humans, from the background aspect of the playset,
How do you mean? You mean
so according to the background aspect, part of the way that we fulfill our role as protectors of the forest is taking possession of humans, right? I mean, that's did I misread that? I thought that's what it said.
Let me look at that again. So where is take possession of humans? That sounds exciting.
Maybe I misread that in the the description that we had earlier. So
no, it only mentions that dogs are controlled by humans, not wolves.
I mean, I think it's a cool idea. That maybe these are berries that have a particular strange mystical property that allows us to kind of to get high and perhaps commune in some way with the humans. I don't know how much of a. It's a thought.
Oh, I know what it was. The description that we had in the Discord for Wolfpack was they protect the pack and their forest hunters in the night. The wolves use their bodies as well as their voices for communication. Never mind, I misunderstood that one.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's my mistake. I thought that meant that it was involving
That's very interesting though. I like that idea. But I think we've got basically it. So the word is essentially that we figured out how that works.
Yeah, never mind.
And no problem. But that was I just this has sent me down a whole different track now that I'm starting to think about this. It could be pretty cool. But,
save it for another word.
Yeah, we'll save it for another word. But for this, and then the next part is that. Is in the turn structure is have a conversation. So the players whose turn it is should pick a subset of players at the table to have a conversation prompted by the text at the bottom of the played card. And any player at the table can end the conversation after all participants have demonstrated their relationship to the new piece of language. Since this is Obviously, there's not going to be a lot in the way of dialogue, but at the same time, we can play out a scene, and I think for framing as also as for time purposes, we should probably keep these like little quick to like little vignettes. So what someone does to get more. So I think that let's see. I think we will have. Who again identifies with Wild and Free? Okay. Let's say that that Forte and Ulrich are going to have a quick conversation about gathering this resource or what we need to do to get more. So I think this is probably spring, and so it's like probably on first day. And I think that is there something that maybe where Forte will kind of let folks know when either when they're in bloom, or is it more where Ulrich is out and sees them and comes back? Which do you think happens?
Well, I'm thinking on the zealot archetype, and it could be an issue of because there are people, maybe it has been more difficult, because you mentioned that berries were a sustenance when meat was more scarce.
Yeah.
And I think that Forte blames the human encroachment for that.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be with a lot of disgust that she would approach someone to consider the hunt for that resource.
Okay. Good. So that actually would be that could easily be a bunch of us that are there. So how does this play out, do you think? So we are at a. I'm imagining this is like a forest. We have like a maybe we have a sort of a not a full ravine necessarily. I mean, what's the? It's like, anyone know what that land feature is called when you have sort of a little kind of
a plateau. A plateau. Or
when you go down, you have like an opening in the ground, but it is
hollow.
Hollow. That's the word.
Mm-hmm.
I'm imagining maybe there's like a hollow where we sort of gather things and gather people. Maybe there's shelter there. So what does this look like? Either you're muted or is there something happening with your audio?
Nope, I hit the mute button. That was me. I was playing with the thing.
Oh, okay.
So I think that, not in an aggressive manner, but certainly not a gentle one, Forte would approach, it's Ulrich, right?
Yeah.
Would approach Ulrich and push the pads of her paw on his shoulder and sort of nod off to the west, and to indicate that they should go get those sweet berries.
Ulrich will just sort of raise his head, sort of look up, his ear will prick up as though listening to something, nod vigorously and start padding in that direction. I think that's actually the scene. I think that's it, probably. And that's that turn. And the scenes were much more extended in the other one, so I have a good feeling about this. Okay, so at the end of the turn, I will draw a card for the next stage, and then turn will pass. If we're going clockwise, turn actually will pass to you, Brittany. So now you play a card from your hand on one of the aspects.
Okay, so I hate to do this, but they're wolves and I can't help it, I am playing the greeting card, and I'm just gonna say it's sniffing butts.
Well,
It's a good old butt sniffing.
that's how that works. So which aspect are you playing that on?
I think that I would put that on Apex Predator because it would be a little bit hierarchical, or hierarchical. Especially like if it is, say, it's a stranger that you've never met before. It's going to be done with a lot more distrust. It's going to happen a lot more slowly. There's going to be a lot more posturing before we get that sweet nose to butthole action going.
Oh my god! Okay.
You broke Jim.
That's all right.
I didn't think that was something I was gonna say this morning.
I'll be fine.
But there it is. It happened. It's out there.
It does happen. Okay. So, and that actually, yeah, as far as building the word, we've just basically built the word. We know what it is. And unless you were saying, is there something a little more ritualistic about it? You said.
I think that's going to depend on who it is and where they are in the hierarchy. So if it's, a more dominant wolf approaching a more submissive wolf, it's going to be a lot more straightforward. If it's if the situation is reversed, it would be a lot more of a lot more asking permission, sort of approaching low to the ground. Tail down to show submissive-ness, that sort of thing.
Excellent. Okay.
I have a question about that. Since you're referencing hierarchy as being an aspect to it, if there's a group of us together, is there a
Conga line?
Sniffing order? Like, for instance, would wolves of a lower rank in the hierarchy, like you would sniff at one level and then move up through the levels, or would it be in reverse? Like you would go immediately to whoever is in charge and sniff them first out of respect, and then in descending order sniff the others?
I think it would have to go with the top one first, out of respect and safety, especially like if this is, say, like a stranger approaching a group. It would be they'd have to prove that they're not a threat to the ones in charge before just going haywire.
So yeah, what kind of, dare I ask, what kind of scene would you like to set up for this? As far as who do you want to put in it? And we actually can also have people as NPCs if need be. Usually we're just playing ourselves. Usually we're just playing our individual characters, but it's that also is a thing that can happen as well.
I have no idea. Let's say, I'll say Anaya, and maybe it's a flashback almost of when Forte came to this group.
Do you mean joined?
Yeah, because it's for greeting, or would that make sense? Or because this is, it said that in the very beginning that they've this is tight knit, they've known each other forever.
And keep in mind it's you're using the
isolated
the text at the bottom to kind of help frame the scene. So this is meeting in an unexpected place.
Unexpected place. Okay. This is very hard with wolves.
We could always meet other wolves.
One thing also I just want to give as an option is if we get stuck, especially in this, we can use a house rule that we came up with last week, which is you can always say, I feel like this is a thing that's just going to that will get incorporated into future scenes, and just pass on if we want to. So that's always, and I just want to let everyone know that's also an option.
Good rule.
Yeah, I do feel like this is something, as much as I would love to have that butt sniff and role play, I feel like this is something that would sort of be incorporated as we go.
Okay. No, that is perfectly fine, totally legitimate to do that. All right. So go ahead and you can draw. Well, let me see here. I need to actually bring out the H2 deck so people can draw from it. That might help. Yay. Okay. Let me first of all draw one of the cards from there. Excellent. And you can now draw a card from the H2 deck. You should be able to hover over it and grab a card from it.
Just one?
Yeah. Okay. And this is a language item. Name it. Name it that. Alright. No, wait. I renamed the card instead of the thing. There it is. Alright. Okay. So after you draw a card, turn goes to Alexis.
Okay. So I have picked the card of Death, our language for ultimate loss. And it says here, letting go. So my idea for it was that if you're expressing this word, the wolf in question would drop on their belly, just like lie down, and put our noses behind our paws.
That's cool. Which aspect are you playing that on? Connected to. That's the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that kind of comes first, and then we build the word. So that way we can build the word knowing what it's connected to in that aspect.
I can see it go two ways. Does that differ us from dogs or not? What do you guys think?
Well, it could, in that it's a ritualistic thing. The way that we're differing from dogs is that we take it's more of a in terms of taking initiative. So it's something where we're doing it quickly, basically.
Well, something that you could look at is if this is a death thing, like if we're basically hiding our nose behind our paws, then it could be in reference to the concept. The reason why we do it is because this is someone whose scent we will no longer smell. Like they're moving on to the next forest, the forest that we can't get to just yet.
Yeah. Like
it could be symbolic of that.
Yeah. So it'd be,
that works.
Yeah, I think that'd be connected to the apex predator, probably.
Sure. Yeah, that works.
If that makes sense. Cool. All right. Do you want to frame a scene about that?
So both of you have the Val. Does Ulrich is connected to Walden Free?
I'm connected to all the aspects.
Okay. Okay. I'm just gonna roll then. Okay. So, I was thinking of a scene where, since I'm the Oracle, I'm predicting death. So what's going to happen is Anaya is going to go to Forte at one of her Oracle sessions, and she's going to do the word for death, predicting death in the near future to you.
This is something that Forte is very passionate about. And she's going to give a small flash of teeth and then tilt her head questioningly in a sort of, who, where.
No, we don't have the word. We haven't made the words, but for the sake of play, I'm going to say that she's gesturing the word for unknown.
We can totally, by the way, make up additional words in the course of a scene. That's perfectly fine. So that's no problem.
I guess in that case, she's going to also gesture the word for soon, which I'm just going to invent right now is like you slap the paw on the floor.
In response, Forte is going to look in the direction that she knows that the humans and the dogs live, and she's going to give a low growl, because that's where she's going to assume that death is coming from.
And now is going to not do anything further because she's not sure.
Is the Oracle a sort of a higher position in this pack that we've created?
I don't have an opinion. How about the rest? Is it a higher position? Is it an equal position?
It feels almost like shamanistic.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things that's like, it wouldn't be higher on paper if we used paper, but it actually, I think it's revered, like, in that way. So I mean, so yeah, basically.
Okay.
How it would go.
So Forte is going to be respectful in her language, and is going to lower her head a little bit to keep below Anaya in respect.
Okay.
Awesome. No, that's great. So yeah, go ahead and draw from the Age 2 deck. And
Age 2. How many cards?
One card.
One card.
And
there we go.
The turn passes to Rock. And this is death connected with.
All right. So. All right, that's going to be one of the voice cards, right? No, the other one. This is only showing me the. Oh no, there we go. What is this?
So you should have 3 Age 1 cards. And
yeah, I found them.
It'll be one of those. And you want to play it on one of the 3 aspects.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go with this one. Looks like it could be an interesting reference. So for a unit of time, an important unit of time in the isolation tied to our routines, environment, or whatever defines the rhythm of our days, a plan is made.
Okay. And,
I mean, I'm thinking, like, as far as this is concerned, we would probably have a gesture. I'm just trying to think of what would probably make sense for it, though. I want to say that, so what I'm thinking is as far as the unit of time is concerned, I'm thinking, especially because of it being like a daily routine, that probably something that would be done is maybe late at night, before the pack actually goes to sleep. There's there's just kind of like a one last check around the area that we're going to be bedding down in, and that the gesture is just kind of like it's kind of like a look at whoever the alpha is, or excuse me, yeah, forget the alpha idea. Whoever is, I think like whoever it is that kind of like found the area that we're going to be sleeping in, like whoever it is that actually kind of like found the area and kind of determined that it was a safe spot for us to sleep for the night.
okay.
That wolf is also responsible for doing a final check when it seems like, like we've done eating, and say like the pups and the older members of the pack have started to kind of settle in. Then just before everyone actually goes to sleep, the one that found the location is responsible for doing just kind of one last check, maybe asking one or two of the other wolves to go with them. So it's and I think the gesture would just kind of be sort of to look around and just kind of not necessarily like paw at the ground, but just repeatedly lift one foot, kind of like indicating almost like a needing to take a walk kind of thing.
Yeah. And is that connected to is that also connected to Apex Predator, or is it connected to something else, or is it connected to Wild and Free?
I want to say that it's the Wild and Free aspect.
All right.
Because it's establishing the fact that we're able to, we're free to, the pack is free to go to sleep, to be free of responsibility for a couple of hours.
Cool. And do you want to, and that's good. That's a good thing. Do you want to frame a scene around that, or no?
Yeah, sure. Let's say that Harmony is the one that found the site, and what I'm thinking is that I'm thinking that maybe it's a case of Forte and Ulrich. Like Forte is, perhaps maybe Forte has just finished communicating to Ulrich her concerns to Anaya's prophecy.
Okay.
And Harmony is walking up, walks up to the two to indicate that it's time for the last check, and might take a moment to try and to see if somebody wants to go with, or whether he's going to be doing it on his own.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think Forte is more short of temper, perhaps, and sees this as sort of an intrusion on her not waking time. I don't know, and but she does respect that it is that time. But she turns with another little flash of teeth and a reluctant, sort of dominant agreement. Like, she'll go to bed, but she's not happy about it, like a toddler.
And Lord just sort of like, "Nah." And we'll just sort of pad up for a second and just sort of look very pointedly in the direction that you indicated, that Harmony indicated, just to make sure that he knows where it is, and we'll tromp off. That, I think, is the scene. Very cool. So, Rock, go ahead and draw from the Age 2 deck.
Okay. What's with this one here? Just
I'm gonna move it.
okay.
I'm gonna shrink it down and move it, and I'm gonna make a little thing to indicate what it is. Pawing the ground. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the end of the age. I'm liking this. This is very interesting. We're gonna go ahead and end the age here, because that's every turn, every go around, it's back to me, so it's the end of the age. So an age is completed after each player has taken one turn. At that point, do the following: read the transition prompt, and these are static prompts that set the stage for what will happen in each age. And then we read the next step of our pathway. So we need to choose which pathway we're going to go down here. So, in Wolfpack, age transition. Entering age 2, an event to foreshadow the end of the isolation. It finds its way into all conversation and is impossible to ignore. So we've got the red path and the black path here. Can you folks see that in your in Roll20?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we need to choose whether we're going down the black column or the red column. So which of those two do we want to do?
Actually, I'm not seeing that.
Okay. So if you go up to the journal, that's the third from the left icon in the upper right hand corner on Roll20, where the die rolling goes on, and you come down to backdrops. You should be able to open up backdrops, and under that is Wolfpack.
Right. Okay. I see it now.
And so you click on that, and that'll bring it up for you.
I think I vote Black Path.
I would Black Path too.
That one's going to be so sad, but I'm going to go along.
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay, we're going to do the black path. It's just because I read to the end of it. So food has become scarce, forcing us to search for prey far from our usual hunting areas. A wolf and wolf pup return to the pack after a day of hunting. The pup excitedly reports they made a new friend near the humans, a yellow-haired, floppy-eared wolf, who plays and nips like they do. How could such a terrible hunter be so well fed in a forest with such little food? And on that note, we are going to go to break. I think that's where we're headed. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We still need to finish off the things for this age before we, if we can, real quick, just finish off things for this age. So we read the next step of the pathway. We evolve an aspect. We decide one of the aspects that is changed as a response to the transition, and we move the unchanged aspects into the upcoming age in the tableau up here. And we leave the replaced aspect where it is and replace it in the new age with the evolved version of that aspect. So, which aspect are we leaving behind and evolving in from age 1 to age 2?
I mean, this is implying wild and free, but I don't know about the others.
Maybe with because it seems like the humans are getting closer. Maybe our resource aspect changes, or that wasn't an aspect. That was
That was just
that was something else. Never mind. Don't listen to me. Maybe their song changes.
Ooh. Yeah, we haven't done a lot with the songs. We could evolve it. What do we think?
If something gets evolved, how do we determine what it evolves to?
Well, yeah, we just talk about it and we decide what it changes into.
Uh-huh. I suppose in that case, what does it change to?
Well,
Do we just stop singing, or do we change it?
I think that, well, we didn't really define a lot about how the song works as of yet. Maybe it starts to incorporate, it's not just individual song. It could be more codified as a singing with others. Because we talked about this floppy-eared thing that was met, also yips and plays. So it could be it could go from song to group song, something like that.
Like for the first time, our song is being answered in a tongue we don't necessarily understand, and it's changing some of our own notes as well.
Yeah. So song to sing along.
Sure.
Yeah.
If we're good with that, I'll go ahead and update that. And then the other two aspects make it into the next stage. And that is where we will go to break. So we're going to take a quick break, 5-10 minutes or so, and we shall return.
All right, sounds good.
Hey folks, we've returned, and we are now entering the Second Age, and so things progress as they did before, basically with this. So it's around back to me, and I'm gonna take a card from my hand and make a connection with it. And I think what I'm gonna do, let me make sure that I cannot move around as much with this one as I usually do. Let's see. I think I might go with environmental feature. Interesting. I like that. But I think I am going to actually play. Actually, no. I'm going to go with environmental feature. I think that'll work. Okay. I just want desperately to use the past, but I'm going to resist the urge for the time being. Environmental feature. A distinct feature of the environment, be it natural or man-made, has gained profound meaning for the isolation. I think I'm going to connect this to the sing-along aspect that we have evolved, and say that there's an area, perhaps it is a rocky outcropping of some kind near the forest, where we have seen these other wolf-like creatures from time to time, and it's like we found it has particularly interesting echo when we are howling or giving voice or what have you. So I think that's what it is we're looking at here. So the word for it, I think, which again we're sort of supposed to kind of come up with these as a group, but my initial thought is it's some kind of, it is like a sort of this sort of keening, this sort of lower keening, almost howl that we could do, that sort of to indicate that I want to go to that place where things are echoey. So it'd be, I think, for wolves it would be sort of something like that.
Does that count as an awoo? Do you owe the fine?
I don't think I owe the fine.
Pay the fine.
But I would be paying. I mean, I've got to.
That's the awoo tax.
The awoo tax. I mean, I've got to. I could throw it. I did recently get the thing where I can start taking donations, but I should probably set that up. But I'd just be paying it to myself. That's the strange part. Let's see.
It's like a swear jar.
Tax. What do we think? Does that sound good, or did we have any other ideas with respect to that?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, so sort of. So hang on. So sort of a near sort of. Yeah, it's like a low yowl or something.
Is it one that's echoed back by another if they also want to go? Because of the echoing sound that you mentioned?
I think so. And so now, ordinarily I'd say this is the kind of thing that can be incorporated, but I do see the prompt for the scene is a dangerous climb. So I am actually curious to see what would happen in a scene like that. Or perhaps they're trying to get there.
So maybe from the aspect of it being a dangerous climb, could be that if this is an area that's sort of in the edge, the sort of like that border between the forest and human civilization, it could be an area where humans have been dumping stuff, and so there are metal objects on the ground, making it dangerous to climb in that area because of, possibly getting injured.
Yeah, that's a possibility. What I wanted to do was just frame a quick scene, I think, with Harmony and... Let's see, does anyone else have particular interest in the song?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, we'll do it with Harmony and Anaya. And perhaps they're trying to get to this place, or one of them is trying to get to this place or wants to go to this place. But there is a climb involved. So what do we think is happening?
I'm gonna say I don't know that Harmony necessarily wants to go. I mean, Harmony is gonna go because of, hierarchical kind of, feeling like there's an obligation. Since others are displaying initiative and not playing into that alpha thing, but more just a case of it, somebody is a member of the pack has said, we need to go in this direction. So it's just kind of perceived, okay, that person's taking initiative and leading, so they're in charge. So at that point, Harmony is kind of going to be follower mode, but reluctantly.
Maybe I could play into that, and what Anaya is doing is actually singing a song of encouragement, telling Harmony not to trail behind all the time. You're supposed to take initiative. That's what's making us different from dogs. That's what pushes us forward.
I like that.
All right, yeah, that can actually just be it. That's basically just sort of the vignette, is they're climbing up something. So if we're good with that, then I will go ahead and make the Age 3 deck visible so that I can draw a card from it. And then turn passes to Brittany.
So that card that I had drawn at the end of my turn, is that what I'm using now?
You can if you want, or you can use the other two cards that you should have. One of the other two cards you have in your hand.
Okay. The one that I drew for Age 2 is actually perfect, so I'm going to throw that out there now. So this card is Faction. A group emerges within the isolation with a strong opinion on how things need to change. A disagreement made public. So, again, sort of playing off of that zealot archetype, I think that Forte thinks that they are certainly above the dogs, that they are sort of their pitiful cousins, and that that same fate awaits them if this plague of humanity continues to spread into their home. And maybe she feels that the current decision makers, per se, are not seeing that threat for what it is. Because, this is someone who has, smelled them burning the wood of their forest in their homes for casual warmth, and has seen these pitiful sort of excuses for wolves just chained up outside, and has seen that all just sort of grow closer over time. And she feels that their way of life is in danger. So she's demanding a more aggressive approach. And I think that this would play out perhaps with everyone, sort of in a public, because it's a disagreement made public, of Forte with, full wolf aggression, just going after those sort of higher up, those that are influencing the current decisions in their course of action.
If this is like a public discussion, right?
Yeah, so I think this would be everybody.
I think as that's going on, Anaya is going to walk up to Forte and make the deaf word again, and basically saying this. What you're doing is going to be the death of you.
She would make that gesture back, and then turn a sort of snarling face in the direction of the human encampment, and sort of a no, that's already coming for us.
I think Ulrich isn't sure, and wants to. But for one thing, I think Ulrich is actually siding with a little more with Forte on this, but is kind of just his idea's responsibility to keep people away from danger, though. So it's kind of there are a few different ways one could look at this. Yeah, so he's going to kind of be sort of back and forthing with this whole thing. It's just like, and eventually is going to sort of shake his head and start scouting off again.
Maybe this sort of results in, I mean, it's called faction, so perhaps this is something that does result in
two factions
within the pack.
So, what were you? Which aspect were you associating that with?
Wild and free.
Okay, and what is the name of the faction?
Ooh. I think it would be Trueborn faction, as sort of a dig at these sort of, as she sees them, lesser beings that are just sort of this pitiful fate that awaits for them all if this continues unchecked.
Yeah. All right. We have the Trueborn faction. And I think the only reason I think Ulrich was uncertain is because he sees potential in the song, but then it's mutating into something else he's not sure anymore. So cool. But so I think nominally he's probably going to also be kind of more Trueborn than anything else. Which side is Harmony on?
I don't think Harmony's quite ready to pick a side. Harmony's just kind of really uncomfortable with all of the tension going on. So Harmony's kind of at the edge, chasing rabbits. Kind of doing a cat and mouse kind of thing.
Dang it, someone's got to catch some rabbit meat today. We're not going to get any of this done if we don't. Nice. All right, so yeah, and you can, and so Brittany, you can go ahead and draw from the age 3 deck if you want, and turn passes to Alexis.
Okay, so you said that I can use either the age 2 or age 1 cards.
Yeah, any of the age cards that you have now you can use.
Because my age 2 card is just evolving another aspect. Play on an aspect in the current age and choose a word from a previous age. Move the word to a new aspect and explain how it changed. So I'm basically just changing, or I don't see anything.
Now, I should point out, there was something that I forgot to mention at the end of the last age that I should have mentioned. You have the right to discard a card at the end of each age. and draw a new card from the age you're about to enter. So you can, if you want, you can get rid of one of your cards and pick a new card from age 2.
Okay, I'm just looking at how to do that in this.
So you can grab it's same as grabbing the card and dragging it onto the table, and we can either just delete the card or just move it somewhere off the playmat.
Let's see, do I get something? No, it's the same. Okay. No. In that case, I think as these like factions are brewing up, let's call it the old guard is introducing a honorific into the group, and they are so the card says a term to show a particular level of respect or deference in the isolation. It may be earned or given. So basically, it's going to be a word given once you have announced that you're part of the old guard, and that. And as to what it's going to be, I think. Is
that going to be attached to Apex Predator?
Yeah, that's what I'm considering right now. Yeah, but our habit was, who do we pick for hunting and scouting? I think Anaya is going to spearhead this as like a 2-note song, just two different notes of howling that you have to do when you're speaking to anyone from the old guard.
Oh wow. Interesting.
And if you don't do it, they're not even going to listen.
I find that interesting because do you want to do that as now, do you want to frame a scene around that, or no?
Not necessarily.
Okay, that's the thing we can incorporate. It's just interesting because like standing up to authority could be a potential scene. All right, so it's 2 short. What was it? 2 short howls?
Yeah.
Okay.
Two short notes.
2 short notes. Okay. All right. So that's under Apex Predator. 2 short notes. Cool. And so go ahead and draw from the Act 3 deck, and turn passes to Rock.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna use the card that I drew for age 2. This one looks good. A new ritual. With the passage of time, a routine changes. A new daily ritual has become common in the isolation. Define the new ritual and name it. A new rhythm to our days. And what I'm thinking is that with the encroachment of human civilization on our territory, it's become a daily thing to kind of go to the edge of our territory and check for, just kind of like check to see if there's anything new, check to see if there's, like if there's any danger or if they're getting closer, that kind of thing. So, and I think that's going to tie into the aspect of us being able to be wild and free. So,
all right. So what is the ritual again?
So the ritual is going to be checking our checking our perimeter, basically, but it's specifically, whereas like normally we would have just been looking to see if there were any kind of predators. Now we're specifically like checking the humans. Maybe taking time, standing there at the edge, watching them.
Yeah.
Not just simply like looking to see if there's danger and then moving on. It's more of a focus.
Is there a particular word for the perimeter check, or is it, or do we just communicate it by doing it?
I'm gonna say it's gonna be more the kind of thing where it's like more than usual as far as our head being held higher, like in order to be able to see more. The ears are just a little more twitchy. And it may even be kind of like a nervous pawing at the ground.
Yeah.
To indicate that's what we're about to do, that we're gonna go look.
Cool. Do you want to frame a scene around that?
I'm not really having anything come to mind.
Sure.
So
Yeah, we can just basically say that's a thing that'll get incorporated.
okay.
Awesome. Fascinating, I like that. Okay, we have hit the end of Age 2. So once again, so we got our transition prompt. Here we go. So we're entering Age 3. What was foreshadowed has come to pass. The end of the isolation is near. There is no escaping it. There seems to be no food left in our forest. 2 of our pack hunt daily near the humans' houses. They return well fed, but bring nothing back for us. They've started to act like pups again, hopping about and nipping at flowers. Reactions to this behavior vary amongst the pack. Should we join their hunt? Should we be wary of their strange behavior? Which very much plays into what's going on here. Now we evolve an aspect.
This is gonna be interesting.
So which aspect do we want to evolve, to change from Age 2?
Maybe wild and free, because it seems like less separates us now.
Yeah, I can see that definitely. So how would we want to adjust that?
Well, there's 2 things that I was thinking about that with the wild and free aspect. It could be that for some of the pack, like how earlier there was the last stage, there was the whole thing about introducing the new faction. Some of the pack seems to be less wild and free because of what was mentioned in the evolution. And then you have the other faction within the pack that is almost deliberately trying to be more wild, more feral, you know. So the sort of the evolution could be is that it's causing a bit of a rift in the pack.
I almost just wanted to say just change wild and free to just wild, but
yeah. So it's like it's got it's kind of like the game. Like there's a red column and a black column, and the red column is sort of that distinction is shrinking, and that's their wild and free is becoming more adaptable. And then there's the other column, which is just their wild and free is just anger and fear.
Wild and what is the? It's not divergent. That's not exactly the term I'm looking for. But there's a word I'm looking for.
Divisive.
Divisive. That'll work. Or wild and divided. Cool.
So does that mean that there's wolves in the pack that want to come closer to humans?
I think there are, yeah. I think there. I think some don't and some do. But what we can do now also, just as a reminder, after evolving the aspect, you can discard a card if you want to draw another card from age 3 if you so desire.
Yeah, I'm doing that with this one.
Cool. Let's see.
I pulled a good one.
I think I am going to discard actually the age. Yeah, I'm going to discard the age 3 card that I got, and I'm going to try to draw another age 3 card. Alright. Ooh, okay. That's going to be interesting. Alright. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Alright. Age 3 is starting up. I'm going to go with Symbol of Hope. We see a beam of hope when things are most dire. We turn to this, a moment of hope in the darkness. So I think that the Symbol of Hope is going to be as we kind of have this division. Let's see. See, I like the idea of a Symbol of Hope, but now I've got to actually come up with something. I feel like it should be some sort of natural feature, some feature of the terrain or something that they come across. Or wait, no. Here's the thought. This is a little weird, because I know that traditionally dogs at least are afraid of storms. But what if there's something where it's like there's a particular place like up on a hill or something you can go, and when there are storms you can actually see the lightning coming down, and like some of the pack looks and that is hopeful because it's like there are forces greater than this than these humans and capable of much greater leveling of the field in nature than anything else. Something like that? Does that make sense, or is that too theistic?
No, I like it because it's that which we feared in the past is still there, and we're still here.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something where like we can go and we can watch, and since the humans have so much metal and everything, we can watch as the sky strikes vengeance upon the encroachers.
I love it. So like, so we gotta figure out what the word that they use for this for. So what's the wolf word for lightning?
My dog's is, hiding under the bed.
Maybe it's sort of a long, persistent growl, sort of like the thunder that accompanies a lightning strike.
That's good.
That works.
Long growl. Okay, cool. Again, I feel like this is... I know we're just sort of blitzing past all these, but I feel like this is something that's... I know we're in the last age, so it's very few scenes left. But I feel like this is another thing that I don't really see... It's hard. It is hard with wolves. I don't really see beyond just describing a moment of hope in the darkness, right? So, like... I'll just briefly describe, I guess. I can see that, like... a scene in which some of us are like watching, as someone perhaps in the distance, far away, has burned part of the forest, or is cutting down trees, as humanity is getting closer, and then it just sort of, we're just sort of running up to the hill, and then it starts to rain, and then the storms start, and then we're just sort of more just standing there watching the lightning, because it's like, this is much better than what was going on down there, basically. And then letting out these low growls as we can feel it coming, and then just sort of riding it out.
In that too, I think that we'd be able to see the people who were cutting the trees sort of take shelter as the storm hits.
Yes. Excellent.
Maybe.
Oh, go ahead.
Maybe with imitating with the growls, the thunder, we're like pretending that we're as strong as the thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're taking part in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
I can
us.
also see that as
That's us being wild.
Yeah, I could see that as also being one of those the choral aspect where it's everybody is joining in on the.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. Did I specify where that was? I didn't specify which aspect I was tying it to. But I will now tie it to sing along because that works. I did not think of that. But that's my turn, and I can't draw any cards since this is the last age. So it is over to Brittany.
So sort of in that same note, my card was Unity saying, when things look their darkest, this is what we say to remember who we are. So I think that this would sort of tack directly on to the end of that lightning scene. And it would just be a long, loud, sort of thunderous howl in tune with the storm around them. As sort of, the wind is singing through the trees, and, the rain is singing against the ground, and the thunder is sort of giving its chorus. The wolves all sort of join in, and it's this sort of song with this storm that's given them hope.
And so it's the so the word kind of for it is just basically this what is it, a chorus? Or
The one long chorus of the woos.
Excellent. And do you want to frame a scene with that or not?
Yeah, I think that would sort of be a continuation of the last scene, where there's this storm raging, and as we see the people sort of taking shelter from this storm, and they're for a moment our forest is a little bit safer than it was a minute ago. And it's just sort of this packed unity moment that transcends these factions that have popped up, and these disagreements over what to do with this all the changes.
Nice.
Awesome. I like it. Okay, so yeah, you can. Well, no cards left. That's it. So it goes now to the play. Now it goes to Alexis.
So that was a Unity saying, but I think that it would be an Alunity.
Have to pay the AWU tax. The AWU tax collector comes for us all.
That should be taxed just for the pun. A great pun, I love it. But
I am terribly sorry for it.
No.
revel in it.
Being a wolf
That's
means
the
never
word.
having to say you're sorry.
The thunder told me so.
Yes, exactly.
Being a wolf means never having to say "oh."
Well, you don't have to say it. Alexis, what card would you like to play?
Just give me a moment to recover for Unity.
I'm sorry.
No, it's alright.
So, what I'm playing is a card called What We Bring In. I'm tying this to Wild and Free. So what the card says is, they start as whispers, but they grow. Voices that aren't our own gain prominence in the community. So I need
Very
to
well.
pick a previously defined word and explain why a new word is replacing it. Let's see what interesting words we got. I want to say greeting, but dogs do the same thing, really.
And what we bring in. This is our own game prominence in the community. So, well, that's the thing. Is that since this is a word that's being changed because we're picking up dog words.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the nature of the greeting could change.
I mean, at least speaking from like the more aggressive side of things, the greeting with the outsiders from that trueborn state would definitely change, and not in a pretty way.
It's more of a less of a sniffing and more of a mauling, probably.
Yeah, it's but it's.
I mean, I'm down with that. We can say that we're adopting the more like softer approach of dogs, while the other faction is trying to make it even more extreme.
So it's like maybe there's. So I was just kidding, but maybe there's like a sort of like on the wilder side, like the on the trueborn side, there could be like a little amount of biting, perhaps. Is that too much, or is that?
I think it would be like a territorial greeting.
Yeah.
Of, as opposed to just a light, friendly booty sniffing. Just sort of a, you don't belong here, leave now, or it will be mauling.
I never thought aggressive butt sniffing would be.
I know, right?
Again, I'm so sorry.
No need to apologize. It's great. It's hilarious.
I got greeting. It's about dogs. I didn't.
No, it's fine.
Too late.
It's fine.
Too late. We're taking that.
So how are we? So just to be clear, just so I know what to write on the card, this is. Are we saying then that it's? Are we just defining it mostly as like just a
soft sniffing?
soft sniffing versus territorial staring?
Yes.
Tender versus territorial.
Tender sniff.
Tender sniff versus territorial sniff. All right. And do you want to? Let's see, the prompt is an honest mistake. Do you want to frame a? Do you want to frame a scene or no?
I think this could be a good moment of where the factions have go at each other. But I do not want to involve anyone unwillingly. So if someone wants to volunteer for it.
I mean, yeah, I could volunteer Forte and to have that sort of juxtaposition of the different ways that they're going to greet.
So, let's see. Yeah, I don't think that my character would be in the what is it, the Old Guard faction. So he wouldn't probably be in the scene for this purpose. However, if need be, we could have an NPC wolf. Which, if you want, I'll play, or someone else can play.
Is there maybe something that Forte wants of Anaya? From Anaya?
Was Anaya more of the Old Guard feeling or the Trueborn?
She was putting herself above it, but she does ask for the Old Guard greeting.
So I don't know if there would be anything that Forte would necessarily want from Anaya, but they would have maybe a different way of approaching their hellos.
You can also remember you get to, if you want, you can frame this as an honest mistake according to the prompt on the card, so that way, if that provides any inspiration at all.
And I feel like we're making this, like, inventing it too long. Maybe we can skip it and have a different vignette later.
Oh, that's no problem. Yeah, I mean, we can, like I said, we can just hold off on it. We're in the third age, so we're about to hit the last turn. Which will be rock, and then we're going to have the legacy. So that's where we're going to describe how things sort of end. We won't have any scenes per se, but it'll be very much actually similar to what we've been doing, though, because again, we haven't really had any dialogue, so it's yeah, it can work out. So did you want to pass on, or did you want to do anything?
Yeah, I'm passing for now.
Okay. So Rock, it's your turn.
Okay. We can still play cards from the previous ages,
Absolutely.
right? Okay, because I think I have the perfect one to use with this example. So I'm gonna go with technology. It's a vital tool for the isolation. It may be something from the outside world or that we've developed ourselves. And it says technology gone wrong. And what I was thinking of, I kind of wanted to do a little bit of and get a little interpretive on this, and it's so there's this. I want to say that harmony comes back to the pack from being out near the area closer to where humans were, and is carrying this long metal stick. And or at least, you know, from the pack's perspective. This long, you know, mostly metal stick. There's a little bit of wood at one end, and Harmony puts it on the ground. Actually, you know what? Let me just check something real quick here, because I want to make sure that this isn't going to be an issue for anybody.
Okay. Also, do keep in mind we need to tie it to an aspect and decide what the word is. For the purpose of doing it. Let's see.
Yeah, just want to make sure everybody's going to be cool with this. Yeah. Okay. Since everybody's all right with this, so like I said, what I'm thinking is Harmony brings back, you know, what looks like a long metal tube with wood at one end, and sets it down on the ground and kind of starts messing with it. And then there's a loud crack as the gun goes off.
I think confused Forte would make the symbol for thunder questioningly.
So I think that if this is a thing where we're just sort of a bunch of us there, I think what'll probably happen in response, if I may, is after a few seconds, I'm going to sort of run in, and you see me nudging somebody. You see Ulrich nudging somebody. He raises his head. He's going to just sort of turn to everyone, sort of step forward hesitantly, and do this.
Mm-hmm.
And the wolf that has fallen to the ground does not get up again.
And Anaya joins Ulrich in the word.
Forte as well.
I think it's going to take Harmony a moment or two, because Harmony is just kind of like, so he's kind of bounced away from the loud crack because it, you know, it's startling and, you know, really loud. And so he's going to be kind of focused on that for a moment before he takes notice of the other wolves. And there's going to be a moment of confusion before Harmony walks over and spends a moment sniffing at the wolf that's lying on the ground, very kind of looking back at the others. And there's a few more moments of confusion before Harmony also takes his place next to the others, doing the you know, the covering the nose.
And are we satisfied with that scene? Are we good?
Yeah.
Alright. Well, that brings us to the conclusion of this game, the legacy. The last part. So we've got one more prompt that we have to read. Entering the legacy, the last moments or the aftermath. We woke to cages. Near them were round pink circles of meat, the first food some of us had seen in days. It is undeniable the humans want us to join them, and they're trying to capture us with food. Will any of us refuse to leave our den, risking starvation? So, in the legacy, we narrate an epilogue. Let's see, it's time to... We deal one legacy card to each player, and with it we narrate an epilogue. We choose one of the prompts on the legacy card and deliver a short... Let me go ahead and just deal the card so you can be looking at this while I read this out here. Legacy cards, here we go. Actually, let me shrink down the technology thing. Not sure what the word was for technology, but I feel like the word for technology is now the same as the word for death. We just skipped over it, but...
I like that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like that a lot.
Alright. So... Everybody gets a legacy. Alright, now. Choose one of the prompts on the legacy card and deliver a short narrated epilogue for either your own character or the isolation as a whole. And that's basically how we come to the conclusion of the game. Let me real quick get to this bit. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to start. So I'll go ahead and start. And, let's see. So I've got what can be learned from the rubble and ruin, or tensions between you and the outsiders, or a hard decision made in secret. So I feel like I have an idea for a hard decision made in secret, but that actually affects other characters. So I don't know if I want to. I'll do part of it, just for Ulrich, and so yeah, hard decision made in secret. So I think what we just briefly seen. This isn't even a scene. This is just a quick vignette. We see Ulrich doing the equivalent of kind of a line in the sand. I think maybe some, just that he does in front of a couple of the other Trueborns. He at this point, the gun incident just sort of pushed him over. He's joined the Trueborns definitely, and he kind of is drawing a line in the sand, figuratively speaking. And is going to take off to parts unknown, but as far away from the human civilization as he can get. And that's my vignette. Turn goes to
So the prompt that I'm going with is sharing a memory of the old ways, and with this sort of issue of there being these cages, to her the old way is the Trueborn way. You know, she's full of pride, so she's going to go and to share this memory, she's going to stand beside those cages until she can no longer stand, and she, you know, dies beside them, wild and free.
Ouch.
Pain. Makes sense. Okay, and Alexis.
Well, that means the prophecy did come true.
I didn't even think about that.
That just makes me sad.
Yeah, sorry, that was kind of what inspired that whole last bit.
Dialect is a very sad game.
So my options on my card are how you will be remembered, or out of the ashes seedling sprouts, or cast out again and again. So what I think happens to Anaya is, as things are going worse and worse, most of the pack is doing something to not join the humans, and Anaya can read the future, quote unquote, and knows that she has to join with the humans to survive. So she seems to be one of the very few and feels cast out for it. And she lives for a year or two with some human family that keeps her as an exotic pet. But at some point, it becomes too burdensome to the family. This is an exotic pet. They have to take care of her in very specific ways. You can't really walk a wolf. So at some point, they just let her go, and she's cast out into the wild again, and this time without a pack.
Okay.
And probably dies alone at some point.
Oh, man. Okay, Rock.
Yeah, so what I have here for the legacy card is contempt for the outsider's ways, or a ritual for the dead, or as the walls crumbling down. And I'm going to say, it's definitely going to be contempt for the outsider's ways. I think being the one, having been the one that found the gun, and I think that kind of causes a sense of responsibility for the loss of the pack member. So I think because of that, Harmony both develops like a fear of the human technology, and so is very, very against the wolves that are willing to go and be amongst the humans, willingly. Not necessarily the ones that are captured and against their will, but the ones that willingly go to the humans. Harmony really wants nothing to do with. But I think also kind of loses a little bit of the juster aspect because of it, just the weight of the responsibility.
Yeah. Oh man, all the sadness. All right. And this is the end, and so ends the story of the isolation. Take a few moments to reflect on the experience and talk openly about the game and the story you've told together. Consider discussing how are you feeling, did anything unexpected happen, which parts of the language are going to stick with you, and how will you remember this story. You are the sole speakers of your dialect now. And that's the game.
That was really neat. I enjoyed the mechanics of that. This was the first time that I played this.
Yeah, and we ended up with the no-word version of this.
Yeah.
This was extra wild.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I think, especially the exploring nonverbal.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. The moment I saw that was like possibly one of the playsets we were doing, I was thinking, well, maybe there's it'd be interesting to see how that works. And I was not disappointed. This was very cool. I think I like, and it also went a lot faster, I think, in terms of the scenes than the previous game of Dialect did that was on this channel. Because of course we had dialogue, characters getting. I think also for me personally, the previous game was slightly more tragic, but that was because I got more invested in the characters. I think through the dialogue, but this was also very, very sad.
Yeah, it's surprising to me that we ended up with relatively well-defined characters, even though that's not what the game asks you to do. Like, the game asks you to do words, not characters.
Oh yeah, well, that's the thing, is that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, and we wound up not only, creating these characters and language without dialogue, but like we had music without any words.
Somehow, yeah.
That was very good. Folks. Well, I think what we're going to go ahead and do then is we're going to do our outros. Thank you so much, everyone, for playing. Go ahead and I'm going to go around the opposite way this time. Ask folks to say what you thought of any final thoughts about the game you may have. I know we're talking about what we thought, but if you have any final thoughts, you can give those and say where folks can find you online. I did not have time to do commands for everyone as I was setting up the bot, because again I was in a frenzy to try to get set up. So if you have any links you want to post, feel free to post those in the chat as we go. And I'm going to start with Rock.
Oh, yeah. So Brock007 on Twitter and most places. Otherwise, you can find me as TVMRock. So I don't really have much going on right now. A lot of my tweets are actually just rebroadcasting what a lot of other shows are doing. So, but I mean, I really liked this game. I was kind of, when I saw the Kickstarter and I saw a couple of other things, I was kind of a little hesitant. I wasn't sure exactly if it was going to be the kind of thing that I was into. Then I saw a couple of the plays and I got more interested in it. And having actually played it, this is definitely one that I'm going to be picking up. So, in fact, I'll probably have added it to my Roll20 collection before the night is through. Excellent. So, I really like the way that this kind of evolves.
Awesome. Yeah, and I highly recommend it, because this is we played the Wolf version of the game, but there are so many more versions of this game that can be tried out. I very much like the idea of that. And now let's move on to Alexis.
Hi, so as for me, please go check out my Twitter under @GameSeizure. So I do some game design as a hobby currently, working on playtesting actually something called Witch's Best Friends. Hopefully I can publish that in the coming months. As for Dialect, being like very interested in linguistics, having studied it, I wanted to see what the fuss was about, and looking at it, it really does seem to have a grasp of how we actually use words. Like, a lot of the prompts are more about, how do you use this word instead of just make something up. And I don't know, it was very interesting. Like we said, the whole fact that we went with the non-verbal idea, and we didn't play too many scenes, but the fact that so much is coded into our society ended up being coded by how we communicate, and I don't know, it was fascinating to look at, definitely.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, this was very interesting. Very cool. And finally, Brittany.
You can find me on social media as Casual Halfling. This is not like any game that I've played before. but I'm with Rock. Like, this is gonna be one that I'm picking up. This was really cool and interesting. I am, I'm a teacher, so now I have a free summer, which is weird and weirdly stressful because I'm still waking up at 5. So if there's, so I'm available for, things like this anytime. So you can hit up my Twitter for that. This was interesting. I liked this a lot.
Very cool. Well, thanks again for playing, folks. Once again, I'm Jim Ryan. You can find me at OtherDoc on Twitch and Twitter. My website is jim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I've got links down below to my website, Twitter, YouTube channel, and the most recent short story that I have released, which is the same one that I've had up there for months. I should probably write something new one of these days. So, what's happening? So, tomorrow, Monday, we have Inspectors over on Katie's channel. I'm going to be running that. It's a campaign, short campaign we're doing of, basically it's a paranormal investigation comedy. And the game mechanics itself are make things kind of hilarious because it's mostly player facing. The players come up with a lot of what's going on. Lazy GM's dream, that game. But it's been the first session was pretty fun, and I just can't wait for them to get into their first mission. I think it's going to go well. Then back over on this channel on Wednesday, we have the finale of Tremulous. Because we do short campaigns every month. So this month it's Tremulous, which is Lovecraftian horror but powered by the Apocalypse. It's the Apocalypse world engine, and they're off in Siberia. They're trying to find these old books that were in an airship that crashed a while back, a dirigible. And yeah, there's a lot going on. They may have to face a strange legendary creature that's out there as they try to figure out precisely what's going on. But first they got to figure out what the deal is with everyone in the town getting sort of under this strange influence of this barber/town doctor. That plenty for them to do this Wednesday as we wrap things up. After that, actually, for next weekend, my channel is taking a break up until Sunday because I'm going to be at a local convention. And so I'm just barely going to get back in time to do a thing Sunday evening. So if all goes well, Sunday early evening we're going to do, so 1 week from today we're going to do a game of Everyone is John. And that is a game where all the players are playing the same character. Basically, they're different voices in John's head, and they take turns controlling him. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I've never actually gotten to play or run that before. I'm going to try running it. We'll see what happens. I am expecting hilarity to result, as it often does in things like this. So tune in for that if you are so inclined. So when we go to the end title card, I'm going to send a raid over to, let's see, I think I'm going to go and send a raid over to Scraticus, because there's a game just beginning over there, I think, quite possibly, but I'm not sure which game it is. Actually, I can't see it right now, so I'm not sure that it's happening. I hope it's happening, but it is just after 5, so just after 5, just after 7, so that's probably going to be going on there. We'll figure it out. I'm going to raid somebody. So it'll probably, if I don't raid them, then I'll go over to Little Red Dot, who's got Aliblight going on. Oh no, it's got the credit scheme is starting, so we can go ahead and head over there. Just say hi if you're so inclined to hang out and do that. Yes, there they are. Things are happening, so I'm going to go ahead and send this over there. In the meantime, folks, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I will see you all of a sudden. Farewell.
Thanks for the DM.